This is Dead Palette, and I'm going to be playing the Resident Evil 3 Remake demo. This is post-commentary, and I'm going to talk about my thoughts and feelings about where Resident Evil is going, and my hopes and dreams for this game, but I'm pretty excited for it. This new plague is spreading at a terrifying state, embedding itself in the corpses of already shambling street peoples.
Capitaine.
Oh, we got French Jill. Baguette-loving Jill.
Carlos, t'as même pas demandé son nom à cette charmante demoiselle.
I really like the design that they went with for this. I've been happy with this and Remake. I know people weren't happy with Chris Redfield's face at the end of Resident Evil 7. It was a little weird, but I like that. They maintained an aspect of Jill's like sexuality in this without it being like overbearing. I like that she's wearing the pants instead of the skirt. I always just kind of thought that was ridiculous. You know, just like, you know, 9-year-old Brandon just being like, why is she wearing a skirt in this crisis? She's had all this time to get prepped and everything, and is deciding to still wear a skirt.
Garantir leur survie est au-dessus de mes moyens désormais.
Bon bah, vous pouvez remercier votre employeur pour ça.
Ouais. Eh bien, on fait tout ce qu'on peut ici.
I like that in this demo, we don't get a whole wide swath of what the gameplay is going to be. It really is just letting you test out the character and see how Nemesis operates for a very brief time. I like that little reaction there of Jill being this kind of reluctant hero, wanting to do good, wanting to escape and everything. They've done a nice job of characterizing her and leaving in some of the cheesiness that we know from the old Resident Evil games without erasing it completely. That smart aleckness of like, I know what a radio is great.
Va falloir t'équiper. Dirige-toi vers la sortie. Tu trouveras du matériel.
Ok.
Also, sorry if this isn't like the greatest video quality. It's the best that I could manage. I wanted to do it on this instead of streaming it from a PS4. It's just going to be easier. Little Dinobots, little bits. And they got the little ads in there to make sure everyone goes out and buys it this Friday. I'll go ahead and say you should definitely buy this game. I'm so excited for it. Like these little posters here. But the I'm excited for this specifically because they did a great job of rushing this out when we already got Resident Evil 2 Remake last year, and I thought people were jumping the gun asking for Resident Evil 3, but apparently not. It seems like they had this planned. It almost seems as though with Resident Evil 2 being as successful as it was, also there's this dodge mechanic where you get slowly more exhausted over time. With Resident Evil 2 being such a success, it seems like they kind of nixed working on more downloadable content, because I'm fairly certain they confirmed there was going to be more downloadable content and then just didn't put it in there. Her knife is unlimited, unlike Leon's, which I think is a nice change of pace, Leon and Claire's, because this is going to be a more action-oriented game, obviously, with Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, the original, being more action-oriented. But it seems like they nixed making more downloadable content for Resident Evil 2 Remake, and just fast-tracked this game, which I think was a good decision. But the downloadable content for Resident Evil 2 was pretty underwhelming, and it's really kind of frustrating because they put these mechanics in the game like the flamethrower and the spark shot, and you don't get those until later. I would have liked to see some sort of a range mode where some of the items and everything are mixed around to get some more replayability out of 2, and I already replayed 2 a bunch, and I foresee myself replaying this game a lot as well. But I really hope that we get some sort of joint downloadable content. On the battlefield, you run out of ammo, your gun's about as useful as a wet fart. That is not true. You can hit people with guns. I've never been hit with a gun, but I got to imagine it doesn't feel too great. The map, which I have never used, I'm a bad survival horror fan because I never use the maps, except in like in Silent Hill 2. Short of that, it's already been 2 months since that mess with Umbrella. Thanks to the suspicion, investigations haven't been progressed exactly. All of this info. It's interesting to see how they are trying to flesh out small aspects of the lore. In Resident Evil 3, originally, the game starts and it's like, if only we fought back and had the courage, and then the game starts and Jill just literally explodes out of the front of a building, and it's just like, game go, start now. Here they're trying to flesh it out a little bit, and I like that. We'll see how this game actually starts. That's a very striking poster. That catches the eye. But I'm excited with how well detailed all these areas are. It really does feel like they spent a lot of time making sure these areas feel fleshed out. In the gray morning of September 25th, a frantic caller called the police department for an assault. A man disheveled, a vagrant, was attacking a passerby at the Lamb's Museum of Art. The responding officer saw the mutilated corpse of a woman by a dumpster. Who done it? Who's been munching on man steak? That sounds like a good gay bar, man steak. So-called cannibal disease. The details too of snack brand snacks. You got the Pringles. It does kind of feel like a medium-sized city in America during the 90s. They very much so captured that aesthetic more so than the original games did. I think they've just done an excellent job of staying true to what the original games were about, while giving them this updated feel.
Compris. Je me dépêche.
Oh yeah, spoilers for this. The mission in this, the objective is not really an objective. It's just get from point A to point B. I like that they have done these things where they got the boxes wrapped up in the yellow tape. Very good for people who are new to survival horror games and that kind of stuff. People who are new to Resident Evil really catch their eyes. There's no place in the UBCS for pipsqueaks who crawl back to the base every time they get scratched up. You want somebody to kiss your boo-boo? Screw that stuff. Get some Herbies and rub them on you. I like this puzzle over here, this very, very telegraphed puzzle that you are not allowed to solve. Do not need those gunpowders, or those herbs. Herbies. The dodge mechanic in this just feels so nice and fluid. It feels like the additions that they've made to this game and the changes that they've made between this and Resident Evil 2 Remake are absolutely excellent. But I really am hoping that we get some sort of joint DLC. Also, just love how they shamble around. How you if you're really good at getting those headshots, you got to get multiple headshots because one is just not enough. I'm assuming they're going to leave the dynamic difficulty system in place, where you need to be able to, if you're successfully hitting those headshots over and over again, the game gets more difficult. Toy Uncle, take off your top and get killed by Raconeer. But yes, this part, I love this, how well constructed this upcoming area is. You got the moodiness of the zombie over here, the shadow, and then you come in and oh look, the zombie, oh no, there's a zombie really close to you. It's just a nice subtle way of trying to keep you on your toes, keep things tense. The gunplay feels excellent in this. But again, back to the point. Resident Evil 2 and 3, I'm really hoping that they have some sort of planned joint downloadable content where we get more out of this, because I don't think that they're going to like fast track another remake game. We're already being spoiled so much with these two, but I do hope that there is some sort of downloadable content here, some sort of arranged mode, something to give us more to go on than just a harder difficulty. And I am curious on whether we're going to get a Carlos A, Carlos B, Jill A, Jill B scenario like we did with Resident Evil 2 Remake zapping system. I know that the game was already leaked in Australia. Look at this little detail, these nice little bits here and there. Little bits. But I know that the game was already leaked in Australia and people got their hands on it. I've been working to avoid spoilers. I've been avoiding all advertisements. I was just going to wait for a demo to come out. And they've done a nice job. They got snacks over here from the first game. Sorry again for the quality of this recording. I just wanted to get my thoughts out about this game. And, the drop frames. It is turning into an Overwatch League broadcast. This donut place down here, I want to go to this donut place. It looks excellent. Got the glowing donuts on the wall. You want to go to Moon Donuts, don't you? Look at that. That looks so appetizing. It looks like an alternate dimension version of Dunkin' Donuts that's good. But I like how the zombies in this area are spread out quite significantly, so it really is something where you kind of have to deal with all of them, or learn that pathing. That little mechanic over there of the zippy zap to electrocute them is pretty cool. Also, I just got really lucky with a bunch of headshots and I couldn't figure out how to teabag, so, you know, I can't duck. So I just gotta zoom in and out on the camera as much as possible to indicate and assert my dominance. More gunpowder I'm not going to use, but we're into the donut shop. We got some classic Resident Evil music playing here. That's a nice little touch. Remember, kids, if you want to know if someone's a zombie or not, just stab them in the gut a few times, you'll find out. And the limit... Oh, those donuts! You can't tell me those donuts don't look appetizing. They look dense and just fluffy all at the same time. Got some classic Resident Evil music here as well, some classic safe room music. I wonder if it's going to be like that in the final game, or if they're going to replace it with some new music, because this feels very retro. I don't know if that's the feel they're going for. I know that they very much so emphasize that this is not going to be like it is in the final game. I think they're kind of going out of their way to say that more than they normally would. But the atmosphere in here is just great. Feels well realized. Look at those donuts. Oh my god. Absolutely delectable. But Jill can't have those. She's on a diet. Look at her arms. If they remake 5, which they're not going to, because it's not like a tank-controlled classic Resident Evil game. Oh, got it. Yep, juked him. Then they gotta jack up Jill's arm. They gotta give her those Chris roids. Oh, I love that animation of just the zombie being like boofed. A zombie can't figure this out. Neither can I, apparently. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I do like that, even if you're used to the controls of these kinds of games, they'll still catch you off guard. I need to talk about a game that I hate. I hate The Evil Within. It's an absolutely terrible game. Nobody play it. But if you have played it, you'll know that it plays very much so like these Resident Evil remake games, but the different... Oh, he's just like, okay, I'm awake. But what makes these so much better than those games is that, one, they have a cohesive story that, while cheesy, makes sense, has a consistent logic to it, but also... that game just didn't have any goddamn pacing whatsoever, and people say the second one is better, but I don't care. But this, every encounter you have feels like it's a reasonable threat, and every time you get bit, it feels like a mistake you made. They're very cleverly backed up at the right time. There's like this, every time you get hurt, it feels fair, and that's something that is hard to describe and is hard to appreciate and takes a lot of time and effort. I just absolutely am in love with how this is structured. Got some steely boys, anxious to get that shotgun. It's nice. This is a demo. I hear something and can't find it. Hear a little bobblehead boy. Also, once you like shoot, there's like little bobblehead collectibles that you're supposed to shoot, and once you shoot them, they don't show up again. Like in your subsequent playthroughs, and I had already played through this, so like the old bobbleheads that I already got had disappeared. There it is. Took me forever, an embarrassingly long time to find it. Oof, those drop frames. But I like how, even though this is kind of like goading you into one area, it feels so open, and it really does. You got to keep your eyes behind you. But these experiences are just so hard to craft, and it really does feel nice and immersive. Also, we got that grenade. That's fun. We got some hose. I love the concept that Japanese people are like, you know, in America, those subway stations, they just have shotguns in case things go crazy. Your local subway station shotgun. Emergency shotgun. Also, just solving these, what I would call non-puzzles, is so relaxing for some reason. Just like using the cable breakers, the chain breakers, hedge clippers to get in and get that shotgun. It's such a simple thing, but it feels nice. Got that shotgun on our back now. Oh, here's the puzzle we need to solve that will not be solved in this demo. Look at those donuts. They are absolutely delectable. Nothing here. Get out of this room. Nothing you need to get out of here. Oh, here's the information on how to solve this puzzle that you can't play in the demo. But again, this demo is really just here to whet our appetites, let people know what the gameplay feels like. I'm glad that the demo is so narrow because I want to actually play the game and not have too much spoiled for me. The end of the demo spoils a few things. There's like an ending cinematic, but I pop really hard for them, and I'm excited to see the actual game. Oh my god, that is such a satisfying shotgun blast. I also love the crafting system. I love the crafting system from the original Resident Evil 3 Nemesis, and this one is also pretty excellent. Which is, I mean, it's similar to the one that they had in Resident Evil 2 Remake, and I love that system as well. I'm glad that they focused on aping that system where... Oh. She just kind of glitched out there. I'm glad that they focused on taking that system. Because you're not going to get to the end of the game and have a bunch of handgun ammo that's not very useful. The fire effects just look excellent in this. It really is just driving home the atmosphere of this place is screwed. Like an utter disaster has happened here. Yep, yeah, I knew I got caught by this guy. I've played this demo like 5 times now, and I keep forgetting about his existence. I don't know why. He's just a mental blind spot for me. And again, this character model just filled up with so much attitude. Jill is clearly a bad enough dude to save the president. It's also nice not having to worry about ammunition, because this is just a demo. It's just like, yeah, get as many shotgun shells as I need. I'm not gonna savor these. I'm not gonna conserve these, I'm just gonna use them. Another thing that's really interesting about this map is you can approach it from 2 different areas. This is the area I'm going to presume most people took. I've seen other people play this demo and they took the other path to get to where Jill is right now in this playthrough. And it does just open up in a very nice way. I like it's just structured so excellently. Uh-oh, framey drops all over the place. I'll figure out, don't need the knife for sure. But I can probably stick with the rest of this. Yeah. So, right off the bat, he is not to be trifled with. And you look at the dodge and you think that that's really overpowered, but then you realize that the dodge system is pretty much just here for him. I mean, you use it on other people, of course, but it's other zombies. But like, you need it to survive against him because he will just wreck your shit. I also love the design that they've done with him. I know it was like a bit of a controversy at the beginning of like, how are they being faithful to him? Look at him, he's great. He's absolutely excellent. It really does feel like Mr. X was included in Resident Evil 2 Remake as a way to build up to Nemesis, because they are 2 different types of tyrants, and Nemesis is I think most people's favorite tyrant, specifically because he just has like the tentacles and he has enough cognizance to use weapons and stuff like that. I think that they've done an excellent job with him. The way that they will make these zombies where they have the tentacles on top of their heads, really cool idea. I love the twist that they brought to that. Now I could go ahead and put that fire out, but there's this area over here that I think a lot of people skip over. You can get into this little area and You just have a few items hidden in here. I really do hope that one thing that frustrated me with Resident Evil 2 is on subsequent playthroughs, tutorial prompts still come up, and it's just like, have you seen this item before? Did you know you can combine items? And it's just like, game, please stop talking. So I hope that there's an option to turn that off on subsequent playthroughs in Resident Evil 2. 3, but also 2, please go back and patch it to where people can skip those prompts, because we don't need them. So, here is where you find out Nemesis has some really sick target combos. And I really love how much of a threat he actually is. I like that he has this different kind of attitude from Mr. X in Resident Evil 2 Remake, where he'll just kind of like push enemies out of the way and is specifically hunting down humans and everything. Nemesis proactively uses other zombies to help him out. I don't think I changed much here with what I take. I do want to get rid of the knife because I don't need it. But the little, like, robotic heart on his chest, that's a nice, like, little weak point. I like the additions that they made to him. He is such a powerful character to fight against. I love that he can just decimate you like that. He can pull you by the ankle. That thing is horrifying. You don't want to, like, that's just great. Let's throw a little grenade at that. Throw a little grenade at that and be done. The animation is great. Listen to all the negative criticism I have of this, but you can go this way. My dog is pacing around. There's storms, so she's just freaking out. So if you paid attention to the sign for the Aqua Cure ad, you can open this up and get something that helps you out dramatically. Little scope that does nothing. Little sight that does absolutely nothing. Honestly makes the gun look kind of goofy. So in here we have this diary of a guy who is attracted to the Aqua Cure lady more than he is his wife. That's an interesting waifu to have. Just shotgun this guy. And he survives somehow. Fuck those legs. Don't need them. But you can go back out this side. And I think some people opt to take this route, which it's not like purely 50-50 from what I've seen, but it really is interesting how different people will pick different paths just without even realizing that there is another path. I love that that Nemesis will just jump around, just come for you, ooh, and make you lose frames. Now he will not come in here. So you do have these little safe rooms, but that's about it. But he will just stalk around out there. I do love how on social media and everything, people are like, idiotic reviewers are like, he'll come into the safe rooms, but they misconstrued the donut area. Donut Moon itself as a safe room instead of just Donut Room's little kitchen area. Also, I love how Donut Moon's kitchen doesn't have like any donut making equipment. But But again, this is so evocative of the original game, and has done a great job of updating it and changing it. Yeah, blast it out there. Wonder what's around here. Boom! It's me, Nemesis. I think he looks absolutely excellent. Thank you, Resident Evil team. Thank you, Capcom, for continuing to pump out these excellent games. I've just been happy with what they've been doing. This Resident Evil 2 remake, Devil May Cry, I think that they've been doing an excellent job. Now it's going to take forever.
There's so many.
There's so many of them. Oh, Brad Vickers, who I think is going to be an integral character. Can see him sticking around for a while.
Send somebody who's capable of getting me the hell out of here.
I love how people are like, man, Resident Evil 6, too action-oriented. Did you play 3? The tech just hadn't caught up yet. The games are supposed to be that action-oriented.
You're all right.
But that's a whole really frustrating discussion of like, is this Resident Evil, is Resident Evil a survival horror, action horror, blah blah blah. I think that those are all kind of moot points. I think what you have to do is take the game for what it is and ask whether it's capturing an interesting mood. But thank you for joining me. Do you want to go to the products page? No, but I will definitely be buying this, perhaps in a hazmat suit. Alright, well, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, all of that stuff. And check out the Fear Fiction podcast, where myself, Abysme, and Slimebeast read and critique short horror stories paragraph by paragraph, and bullshit while we do it, from adolescent revenge fantasies to subtle postmodern narratives and everything in between. And we just put out a new episode that had to go up late because of issues uploading it with YouTube and internet just not being what it normally is. Please go check that out. I'll leave a link in the description and on the screen.